Over the past 2 decades, a series of social and psychological studies have shown that there is no real relationship between the amount of money earned and the level of satisfaction obtained. We can feel disappointed when we spend too much time and energy to accumulate money, but that feeling of happiness is actually very superficial and disappears very quickly. Gradually, it becomes difficult for us to believe in the definition of happiness coming from material satisfaction anymore. We realize that money not only cannot buy happiness, but is also one of the causes that destroys it. The time spent on work gradually overwhelms and takes over all the time for our basic activities. Even though we have all the amenities, we cannot fully enjoy them. Always busy with work and customers, we don't have time to take care of our health. We don't have time to talk to relatives and friends around us. Unable to arrange warm family meals. Unable to listen and understand those around us. We gradually find ourselves turning into inanimate beings, no longer sensitive to emotional expressions. We always believe that we are building a very stable future. But how can we build the future when we cannot take good care of ourselves in the present? When someone asks if last fall was beautiful, I'm often confused like a stranger from where I came from. Oh, is autumn already over? I was so busy that I didn't know anything. But we don't bother to notice or regret it, because these appear to be luxuries that are difficult to have at this moment. It seems that whatever we do contains a meticulous calculation to see if it brings us any value or not. The loved ones next to us, our children, need most of all care, understanding, and sharing their problems and dreams about life. Children need a happy family to rely on and learn from. Having enough material things sometimes means nothing. To people of retirement age, they are even very bored and want to stay away. Their biggest desire now is to return to their youth, to live happily. Pragmatism was formed in the mid-19th century and developed rapidly in the 20th century. This doctrine promotes experience and efficiency, and all goals are directed toward developing benefits because it satisfies people's need for enjoyment. This doctrine is enthusiastically responded to by all classes. It completely overcomes materialism and idealism, all basic philosophical and religious issues that were built up many centuries ago. From that foundation, people can clearly distinguish between economic and non-economic. During a meeting with friends, you get a lot of useful information, or at least have more relationships that can support work, and then people call that meeting worthwhile. Spending hours just listening to sad stories, or repeating the same old stories, or simply drinking tea and admiring the scenery is truly wasteful and impractical for them. Unrealistic today is also understood in the form of non-economic. An impractical person does not have an economic mind. Economists must always have a mind that is free of emotional concerns. Everything should follow clear principles, but is doing so really the action of a human being existing in this world? if only because of the instinct to protect that small ego. We accept to sacrifice emotions, forcing it to make room for the interests to prevail. The consequences may force them to face regretful breakups, fratricide, or even lead to wars between ethnic groups. Therefore, sometimes accompanying a strong economy are so many seeds of suffering that are planted that we can hardly recognize. The vicious cycle today is that we cannot determine what is the means and what is the purpose of life. All those material things only bring more comfort and ease in life. It is not the only reason for us to live. Bhutan is one of the poorest countries in the world, but they always have a smile on their lips and always feel happy with their current life. A life in which they build a very secure foundation, with very low levels of crime or divorce. And most of all, they enjoy the value of life every day, so their longevity is very high, taking building happiness as a firm belief to create a clean and peaceful country is truly meaningful. In the UK, about 81% of people suggest the government should focus on making people happy rather than rich. They requested a ban on advertising targeting children to limit materialistic tendencies. Just like in Sweden, people feel completely happy living in small houses that are 1/3 the size of American houses. For them, living in a big house and having to fill it with other things and taking too much time to clean, while they are completely fine in a house half the size. It is a great choice. Japan was alarmed when looking back at the level of crime and increased working hours, which had not decreased compared to the 80s, even though their economy is the second best in the world. So the proposal of the Work Less, Play More project was born to balance the two indicators, GDP and G&H. That means economics must go hand in hand with happiness. The issue of national happiness also attracts the attention of economists, philosophers, psychiatrists, as well as biologists. But reality shows that building G&H is many times more difficult than GDP. First, we need to have a more correct view of the value of happiness. Then we have to spend a long enough time to master it. Only when one's instinct for enjoyment is too great is enough to push aside attractive external means. Changing habits to reduce negative emotions is a huge challenge. But if that action is spread throughout the entire community, that difficulty will gradually be accepted and transformed. Just like the meaning of lagom in the Swedish way of life, one of the reasons why Sweden is among the few happiest countries in the world is because people here know how to treat others. Swedes usually say just enough, don't beat around the bush, and don't even like to chat or gossip about other people. They minimize the potential for misunderstandings and possible verbal conflicts as much as possible. Sometimes it makes us mistakenly think that Swedes are quite cold and quiet. In fact, they ignore their own big egos and aim for a friendly, cooperative, where everyone is respected, and humility helps everyone live in peace. Sometimes the simple things end up bringing us the most joy.